Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. And I'm your host, Vineet Kaur. And today we have David with us, the fabulous David, who's the founder of BWL Business Work Limited. It's the number one organization into product introduction services. And I think, David, we would like to have more from you. What I understand is you help the suppliers bring them to the retail and the distribution market. Yeah. So
Sure.
it welcome, David. Welcome to the show, and
Thank you.
it will be great to hear a bit about what is all about Business Work Limited. What is BWL?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Business Work, we've been trading for just under 20 years after a background in blue chip organizations, a variety of commercial roles, working worldwide to understand products and the cultures of developing products, working with both the buyers and the manufacturers.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the opportunity to work with both the retail buyers to ask them what they're looking for and then go out and procure the stock. And over time, we built relationships with both sides of our business, which are both the buyers and the sellers.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the manufacturers, our sellers,
Mm-hmm.
we actually offer them a service of introductory skills into the retailers. So
Mm-hmm.
everything's done very openly, collaboratively. So that's one part of our business, which is our consultancy business.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a second pillar to our business, which is manufacturing. So
Mm-hmm.
we manufacture some of our own products. So currently we're manufacturing drinks in Vietnam,
Oh, very good.
Everlast branded sports drinks. And then we have a third element to our business, which is managing overstocks, clearance overstocks. And we have
Mm-hmm.
over 15,000 suppliers that we built up in a database over the time. And we market those on a regular basis. So the way that we try and work is to transition our clients between each one of those brand pillars and offering
Mm-hmm.
them a variety of services
Mm-hmm.
at any one time. Most recently, we pulled all this information together in a new prospectus for this year and started marketing what we actually can do. And we also encouraged other business leaders and owners to join in the prospectus to be part of our wider business.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've arrived at is not only
Mm-hmm.
are we marketing ourselves, other
Mm-hmm.
people are actually marketing us while we're not actually, while we're sleeping almost.
Mm. That is so interesting. That is so interesting. So, David, if we reflect back on your journey, what inspired you to start uh, BWL? What was that starting point?
So there's a few points that I can think of, moments that I can think of. One specifically was a very good friend of mine who said
Mm-hmm.
to me, who had his own business, and I was sharing some information with him, and he said, if you don't start your own business, I'm actually going to employ you
Mm.
and pay you twice what you're earning now to come and work for me.
Wow.
And that was kind of a big statement that made me reflect and think, if this guy's got so much trust in me, why
Mm.
don't I have trust in myself? So that was kind of one of the moments. And then the other one was another similar moment where I had another confirmation of my ability when I was working for a blue chip organization, and one of the consultants working for us said, hey, come and work for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I will charge you out at £2,000 per day,
Mm.
when the company were, paying less than that in my salary. And we did that worldwide for this company. So I guess the impetus was finally to realize one day that to take that leap of faith and have the confidence of what these, it became an increasing number of people saying, hey, you should be doing this on your own. And finally, I did work for a smaller company where I was running the business, and I realized that, I could do this.
Yeah, this is such an inspiring story. So it's like someone's belief in you triggered your own belief in yourself, and you started this.
Absolutely. And that kind of is one of the most important things about this whole journey is that,
Mm,
and I think we all need that pat on the back for somebody to say, hey, this is the right thing that you're doing. This is the right decision. Because I also had some time in consultancy, and we had
mm,
a program called Tough at the Top, where
mhm.
we talk ourselves to business leaders and help them with their challenges at the time, where they could reflect. And 9 times out of 10, they all had the answers. They just needed
Yeah.
a little bit of time and free space to think about it.
Mm,
So
mm.
that's another thing that we've realized over the time, that making those decisions are lonely.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's interesting to come to terms with that.
yeah. And I think it's also the fact that uh before actually happens, it happens here. So it's the
Mm.
whole the thought process, the mindset going behind. Once you think you can, I mean, I really believe in this. If you think you can, you can.
Oh, for
If
sure.
you think you can't, you can't.
Yeah,
Either way, you will prove yourself right. So the moment
absolutely.
you you believe in that, and that's half journey done already, and then it becomes like an easy walk.
We take a lot of products to market, and it's very interesting that we've never ever thought that we couldn't get them listed with retail, and we never
Mm.
have not gotten them listed with retailers. And people may say to us, this is not going to work. And
Hmm.
some of the products that we have behind me, all of
Yeah,
these
I can see
products
that.
that,
Wow,
that
looks
we're
really
working with,
nice.
it's never been a doubt in our mind that we'll get listings. To
Mm,
to echo what you're saying, it's that kind of never to look down or to think that
absolutely.
this is going to fail.
Yeah.
Um, However, yeah, there are tough times when it doesn't quite go to
Mm,
plan.
yeah.
But when that happens, I see that as a realignment that I'm not going the right direction.
Mm,
So I turn that into a positive, that if things suddenly change without me expecting it, that's something that makes me go back and think about, hey, what direction are we going? And having the flexibility at all times is something that's crucial.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
not being afraid to say, hey, we did that, it didn't work, we'll move on. And I don't mean just going from failure to failure.
Yeah.
I mean going from success to success, which is quite different. So we
Mm,
may we
mm,
may work with a product and get great exposure, but having the ability to change has been our biggest success story, because one of our retailers, or should I say, when the retailers closed during COVID, one of
mm,
our B2B customers asked us if we could manufacture hand sanitizer,
mm.
when the world wanted hand sanitizer, of course.
Exactly. Exactly.
But not many people took that opportunity to actually commit that they could do it. And we committed with probably one of the UK's biggest distributors that we could manufacture.
Wow. Wow.
And we took from a standing start. We didn't have a manufacturer, we didn't have a bottle, we didn't have a product, we didn't have anything.
Wow.
From 0 to 5 million bottles in 4 weeks.
Wow. Wow. That is some sort of an inspiration. I think you just triggered a thought there when you said realignment. And I just realized, just thought of that, when we start the coaching journey with any client, helping them to grow, the first session is always alignment session. It's about understanding what you want in the next 5 years. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Aligning
it's
your personal goals with your business goals. Yeah, aligning your business goals with your personal goals. And then there often comes a time of realignment. I mean, things change. And what you just said about the ability to change and adapt, that is so fabulous, because things will change. Business is not a straight line. So it will happen, which brings me to my next question, David. What do you attribute your growth to? I could clearly see the journey from where you started to the point where you are. So what has been that key contributors to that growth?
So I think the key factor is the flexibility, and
Hmm.
also to look within. So, one of those things, not only looking at my business, but also looking at myself and saying, hey, what are the things that I could actually change to benefit my business, and vice versa. So one of the key things is that, my family have been very important to me, and I wanted them to have the best education, which has come with a significant cost. But that was non-negotiable in my mind. So setting out those very early stages, my business, one might argue, was set up to deliver a standard of life. So it was very material to start with. It's kind of, those material things. And then as, I progressed and got older, other things have become equally important to me. So, I very often talk to my family about the circle of life, looking at yourself from a 360-degree perspective and from an axis of things that are important to you. So if you've got 4 key points on the axes of what are important to you, whether it's your belief, whether it's your finance, your health, etc., and not just looking at one of these things in isolation, because I found that people, say, look, my sales are quiet today. But if your sales are quiet today, must mean that, something more spiritual is giving you time to go and do something else. So quiet sales is a positive, because it's actually giving you time to think about what you're doing, thinking about other things. Maybe it's spend more time at the gym, maybe it's spend more time with your family. And once you start and bring those levels up that have probably been shaded and you've neglected, well then, the sales start and come back. And actually this is a true one, and it's very, very, sounds almost contrived, but I was actually in the garden once years ago when there'd been a really heavy summer and the grass was brown, and I spent evening after evening after evening watering the grass, and nothing was happening, and it was dying. And in the corner I saw this small green bit of grass, and I thought, hang on a second, I'm just going to forget the rest now and just water this bit of green. It's going to take me so much less time. I can water this tiny piece of green and then I can stop my job. So I did. And the next day I came back, the green bit had probably just increased a little bit, until I watched this green grass grow. And over time, of course, the green became more than the brown and the grass came back, and there we go. So focusing on the kind of important things. And that was just a reflection of me and the way I look at life, in terms of saying, well, hey, what is the good in this here that we're doing? And then, I also share that in my community, that I make it very clear, if I'm given an introduction, I want nothing back in return, nothing whatsoever. And I created a prospectus where I have other people involved. So areas of our business that we don't deliver, we're very clear. So whether that be financial institutions, warehousing, freight forwarding, whatever, we make it clear to our clients that that's not what we do. We're focusing on that green piece of grass, not the rest. However, we do know other people, and we share those contact details. And those people, in their own mind, because we only want like-minded people, and we only attract like-minded people.
Absolutely.
And we say, okay, we'll help you, and we love to help people. And they will suddenly come to us and say, hey, we've got this guy who needs your help. And because they know us, we come then, and we don't need to advertise, because we've been recommended. And because those people know me, my business, they know what we can deliver, how quickly we work, and how successful we are. And that's the kind of key piece of advice I give to myself every day, along with spiritual side of life is very important to me as a person. And just to take the time to thank whatever your spiritual belief is, and it can be whatever's important to you, and just to take 5 minutes to say, hey, thank you very much for what you've given me.
Absolutely. I mean, I could relate to so many things. In fact, you remember before our session, I was talking to you about my 9-year-old having that pep talk. And this is exactly the same thing. We used to write the gratitude journal, which been there have been some slippages. And I was like, when was the last time you wrote that? Because I could sense, if you're not writing it, then we sort of get into that trap of, oh, I need this, or I don't have this. And you start looking at the negative side. I said, when was the last time you wrote that? And she's looking at me. Yeah, it's been a while. I said, then you better write that and then we will have a chat about it. So I think that these things are so important because this is the long-term, success.
Absolutely. And it's quite interesting that, some of the things I kept a regular book for, still do. And every New Year's Day, I would write in my book my objectives,
Oh,
personal.
wow.
And I reflect back on some of those. And, been doing this for 20 years. And some of the targets were very, very interesting, and
Mm-hmm.
how I've evolved. Some of them were always unbeknown to myself before I started studying more about these things, were very personal, not just materialistic. So I'd identified an untrained identification that chasing just one thing is not good for you, for your soul. It's having a balance, and that balance is kind of, I still don't get it right, but I have the intentions.
But
and
yeah, go on.
and some of the things now are, not just financially rewarding,
Yeah.
which is kind of key. That a change probably last 2 years, because one of the things that I realized that I've been chasing, I can give you another story in like golf or whatever, that you get all these professional golfers they compete every week,
Yeah.
and they play to win. And when you actually win, you realize that you're not actually prepared to win. You've not prepared yourself. So you see all these people like in the media at the moment, Adam Peaty, the swimmer, the gold medalist. And when he actually got all these gold medals, it kind of threw him off kilter, and he didn't know what to do. Danny Willett, the golfer, won the Masters, millions of dollars, but didn't know what to do. So I actually, after one of my big successes, kind of not lost direction, but kind of went, wow. And I realized at that point, I'd not set my goals high enough. And it was a time to say, hey, you might have achieved this stuff that's important to you to kind of keep your life going, but there are other things that you can achieve, not necessarily financial, but other things that are going to kind of keep you busy, and also allow you to help others, which is very important to me. And I started getting involved in, I'm just at the early stages, getting involved in charitable organizations. Again, not for any other reason than I genuinely want to help people, because that's kind of key, because we've got such a short time.
Exactly.
And then people came to me and said, well, we want to buy your business. So I had a couple of people wanted to buy my business, and I went, wow, this is everything that I wanted. I've asked for all this material wealth, and it's there. I realized that, then I started working out how long I've got left on this earth, and whether I've got enough money to keep me, and all this, and this kind of everything that I didn't believe in was consuming me. If that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is, I mean, to be honest, I'm not sort of, there are specific practitioners who read this sort of material. I'm not there, but I think I'm on that journey to understand, because at the end of it, it's about knowing your purpose. And if you have a strong enough purpose, then I believe it's about the journey, not the destination, not just the result and the end. So for me, this is all making sense. And that, whenever we move to these, from the materialistic goals to these intrinsic goals, that's where, that journey starts becoming beautiful, and you sort of enjoy it.
And it's quite interesting, because I then because my mind is open to receive, I then see things like the 5 a.m. club that I read about and think, I've been doing that for years. Kind of refocusing and changing things, like, going into Lent, I thought, it'd be good to try and give something up for 40 days.
Absolutely.
And just give time to focus on what that actually means. It can be very insignificant. And I've given quite a few things up, and changed my health and fitness. And that's, very often we don't take time to score that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's kind of key. And most recently, I was up. Somebody said, "Why don't you write a book?" And
Is that the next
that,
thing?
that's kind of high on my agenda, and that's not necessarily for a kind of. It may go into, I may publish, but it may well be that it's just for my own
Mm.
cathartism, and
Mm.
actually writing the chapters is kind of the key part, and then where that goes, because I personally believe that there's something else left for me to achieve, and that's probably as a result of my realignment of my goals.
Yeah. No, that, I mean, we are looking forward to your book, David. And I am sure you have so many. I love that grass story. You have so many stories to really share that in the book with your readers. That would be a great one. So, me and all the viewers are looking forward to it. Go for it.
Thank you.
Okay, so now reflecting on the fact that David, when you started your journey from an employee to becoming a business owner and employer, what challenges you faced, or what were your biggest learnings becoming an employer?
I think the biggest one of the biggest things was that, being all departments initially, so not actually having, by the time I left my before business as work, I
Mm,
was running an organization, a
mm,
50 million pound organization. So I had lots of department heads and
mm,
directors to look after things
mm.
for me,
Yeah.
and things like recruitment agencies and all those things that, whilst I didn't get involved in it, recruitment employing was pretty easy.
Mm,
Not easy, but easier.
yeah.
So attracting people to come and work for
Mm,
you
mm,
really means that you're attracting people who like you,
mm,
and you like them. So it's way
mm,
more personal, way more personal. And
mm,
that's kind of very interesting as a positive and a negative, that,
mm,
you end up being almost friends with everybody who works for you.
mm,
And that's also positives and negatives, and creating a culture that people want to be there.
mm,
So we're hardworking. It's a hardworking culture.
mm,
It's a positive reward, but
mm,
equally we expect people to work at, a
mm,
high standard.
mm,
So yeah, finding good people is
mm.
kind of a cliche, but is interesting.
And I think it's the most important thing, because we
Sure.
often we often see that, you know, if you just keep focusing on growing a business, can we grow a business? I mean, a business is an intangible asset. You can't grow
Sure.
a business, but you can only grow the team. As a result of that, they grow the business. So it's like a circle. And if you
Yeah.
do not follow that circle, like the business owner is doing everything in their power and trying to grow the business, but it never happens.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I worked out was to have a virtual team. So I have a bigger team than when I had the business that I ran for somebody else.
Mm,
So I have loads of associates, loads of commercial organizations who can help me when I need them.
mm,
And that's quite key, I think, is the key challenge, to actually say, right, okay, that's something that I can trust, somebody I can trust. And what we
mm,
don't want is, it's quite interesting. We've got an interview this week with a new person, and you know, the first thing they tell me is, what they are worth financially, which is
mm,
probably the last thing I want to hear. I want to hear
mm.
about what they want to do, and what their
Yeah,
objective is. And
exactly.
if they're not ticking my growth buttons, and they've got a backstory, and they
Mm,
need to show me what they were, what they are, and what they're going to be.
yeah,
And the history is less important to me. It's kind of what their plan is for themselves. So
exactly.
when they come and they say they're earning X amount of money,
Mm,
that, and then they come with an expectation, that's what I should be giving them. That's
mm,
not the best start for me. It's more
yeah.
about how they're going to grow, and how they're going to
Mm,
help the business, and they need to be
mm,
wanting to share.
I think it all comes back to that mindset back again, short term or long term. If the focus is just money aspect without understanding what you add value to a business or an organization, it becomes a really short term approach. And even if you hire that person with just a 5% increment from anyone, that person would be leaving your job, leaving the job with the drop of the hat.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's I believe that shows a very short-term approach and is a good sign before you hire and train and invest, saying, okay, this doesn't match. But I think that's a very good point, because having a good team, having the right people on the right seat is the
Yeah.
key. So, David, whenever I speak to business owners, and obviously a business is not a straight line, there would be peaks and troughs, many challenges in that journey. So I often ask them, what challenges are they facing? And most of their challenges fall in either of the three categories. It could be team, it could be time, it could be money. What do you see as a challenge in the coming times?
I think it's a combination of everything, and it's understanding your customer. So living the life of your customer and your customer's customer is important. So a lot of my customers are in the value sector. So I understand how my customer's customer operate. I go into the stores, I look at them, I speak to them, I empathize with them is probably a bit unrealistic, but I know that person and I understand how much money they've got to spend and all those great things. And having that flexibility and understanding of how much they're going to pay for a service or a good is half the battle. Being realistic and pragmatic. So, it's kind of, I've looked at things where, financial is important, of course, but having the ability to actually say, yeah, it's going to flow out and it's going to flow in. Because when it's in, you're trying to protect it sometimes. But if you're trying to protect it, the gates are literally closed. And not only are the gates closed to protect the money going out, they're stopping
but you're
it
not
coming
letting
in.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
You're stopping it.
So you've always got to have the gates open. And the only time the gates close is when you say, that's it, I'm out. I finished. So that was one of my biggest lessons that I learned only 6 months ago, to say, hey, keep counting your money. The most famous person in the world was counting his money, was not successful. So that's the first thing, to just let it flow, let it go, let it come, let it go. And then with the people, if you're mixing with the right mindset, doesn't mean the people, doesn't matter where they are in the world, if you've got the same mindset, you're going to attract the same mindset. So we're attracting, like, I had a captain of a football team ran at my house a couple of Saturdays ago. He's got a new product. He came, and this guy came in my house, and he's a professional sportsman, and they're the kind of people we're attracting. I didn't go out to try and find him. He got referred to me, and then we get more referrals down that route. And then with people, the door's always open to good people, always open to good people.
No, I really love what you just said. This one, I've just written it for myself. I think I'm just going to put it on one of my posters. Stop counting, let it flow. Stop counting the money. Yeah, the gate analogy is really nice, actually.
And it comes down to the point where when I actually looked at value, and because a lot of people are valuing you for what you've got in your material world, which I still remain to be materialistic, I make no apologies, but it's kind of just letting it go in terms of being yourself. And realizing that enjoyment can be had at all different levels without money. And kind of a mixture of things. And I guess that I'm very porous. I'm absorbing stuff all the time, and I kind of guess if I didn't do this, I'd be in comedy, because I'd be the sort of Mickey Flanagan guy that was listening to what was being said and replaying it with humor. And a lot of my friends would say, why are you not doing that? Why? Because you're hysterical.
Mm.
And that's a skill, I guess, in itself, to actually be aware of what people are putting in the shopping basket and what their
Mm.
intentions are.
Mm.
And if I look at that, I don't necessarily need to watch the news about what's happening politically, because I can see,
Mm.
if you're watching where the birds are flying,
Mm.
when the storm's coming.
Yeah.
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 So keep an eye out for watching the animals and see which direction they're running. And if you want
Absolutely.
to run towards it, because sometimes we have
Mm.
to run into that chaos. And that's where we survive in that chaos, in whether we're helping
Mm.
people move stock. We want
Mm.
to understand how we can help. And
Mm.
on everything we do, we use that big word, how can we help you? And what we found
Mm.
over time is that people have been taught from any age to respond well to
Mm.
help.
Mm.
So if we speak to somebody and ask them if we can help them, and they say we don't need your help, that's fine. We
Yeah.
don't pursue. We don't pursue, because until people realize they need help, we're wasting each other's time.
Exactly. Exactly. So true. So true. David, what is the vision? What is the future for BWL in the next 5 years?
But it's going to be interesting, and it's kind of not completely formed in my mind. But I've been hiding. 2 years ago, I kind of thought, yeah, that's it. Now we've achieved greatness, and probably one of the spheres we're doing really, really well
Mm-hmm.
in things that are important to me. But the other three were very barren.
Mm.
And the future for us is going to be an ever growing circle
Mm.
of balance.
Mm.
We're segmenting the business clearly into defined business units, which will
Mm-hmm.
become their own revenue streams. All
Mm-hmm.
of those are growing. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of them have my time and attention. We're working internationally, which is fantastic and exciting. So I think growth is the way forward for us. We're also looking for, we're open to other organizations who want to come and work with us, to align with
Mm.
us, to
Mm.
fuel jointly our growth, because we definitely believe that, working with partners who've got product or whatever, we can help them grow. So
Absolutely.
I've got products all over that, from Fuji water to Amazon water and all these different things. So, we're definitely going to finish up in a different space, and it's all about the learning that we take between then and now.
Mm. That is so
Main
wonderful. Go on.
Awesome. No, I just say my main ambition is to learn, and then to hopefully share some of those learnings with other people. So if anybody ever wants to have a chat, that's never a problem.
Yeah, and thank you for joining us, David. I mean, by through this, you're helping so many business owners, who would be watching this, and would be in a similar journey or an early start. We don't know, but this would definitely work as an inspiration. So to end this, the last question I'll ask you. Uh, I mean, I can clearly see, I literally have goosebumps listening to your inspiring journey. But if you have to start everything from the scratch, what would you do differently?
I think it's some of the decisions that you make are necessarily not your own decisions. You're being led or being wanted to be accepted as part of a peer group, and
Mm-hmm.
we've all been conditioned that way. So whether it's
Mm.
socializing, and I think I'd identify the things that are really important to me,
Mm.
and not things that I think are important. Look
Mm-hmm.
at different ways of releasing stress.
Mm.
That's probably fundamental, to actually take that time to think how I'm going to deal with that.
Mm.
Celebrating the success is key. But I think inside, to have a period of reflection, whether it's meditating or whatever, but just taking the time to say, hey, what's happening? And keep getting up early in the morning, working
Yeah.
hard, and putting yourself in a position to succeed.
Yeah.
Because my day starts, early and finishes when it finishes, and always being open. People laugh and say your phone's always on. It is.
What time do you start?
So typically, I'm at my desk just after 6 a.m. and I'll finish, or it can be earlier if we're dealing with Australia. So that can be, 5 o'clocks and 4 o'clocks. I go away on holiday every other month, but I still work. So I just have a change of scenery and get some sunshine and those great things and lots of fresh air. And that's kind of something I've been doing for 2 years now.
Wonderful. Sounds so lovely. And I think you've
Awesome.
earned it. You worked hard
Thank you.
towards it and you've earned it. So it was great having you. It was a pleasure to have you, David. Wonderful nuggets. I have a full couple of pages of notes which I've taken myself from this interview. So it was great having you. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to meet you, and hopefully we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.